up, up, up. And as you speed up, those are all the upbeats. Well, so I was playing a little funk drumming for you, and I don't know, I like to, when I play funk, I like to get different, tones out of the drums, that's why I'm kind of just out here setting up, just kind of fooling around. And I wanted to show you how to, get different tones out of the snare, because that, to me, is, the main part of, the sound, like James Brown and stuff. He'd always have, 3 different snare tones going at once with just a straight beat. So the 3 tones I like to use are the real fat back tone, and that's kind of playing in the center of the drum without hitting the rim. And that's, and using the butt end of the stick helps a lot as far as getting that really fat tone. That kind of sounds like this. Then what I like to do is I like to put that with the 2 other tones, and the 2 other tones that I want to that I use is the higher pitch tone, which is more of the James Brown sound, or Steve Jordan kind of made it really popular, and that's hitting 3 inches off the butt end of the stick and hitting the rim. So that sounds like this. And see the difference between That's kind of more of like a flat AC/DC tone, and this is like the high pitch, like James Brown type of tone. Then you got the third tone I like to use is both of those put together, but hitting in the middle of the drum, and that kind of sounds like this. So it's both of them together, hitting a rim shot and hitting in the center of the drum. So the three tones are this. And like, let's say you're playing a 2 and 4 beat, and what I like to do is to really make it like funky is I like to make like the 2 a deep tone and the 4 a high tone. So if you're playing like 1, 2, 3, 4 and going 1, 2, 3, that's like straight. With that same beat, I'll make it sound a little more funky by hitting 2 different tones, and that would sound like this. Like, see the difference? I mean, it's not, and then you add like some grace notes under there, or some underlining diddles, which kind of like make it even more sloppy, and maybe adding some more on the kick, you get a really funky beat, and that would kind of sound like this. All those little snare things that I'm doing, utilizing the 3 different tones that I just showed you, and kind of slopping it up, really makes it funky. I'm going to talk a little bit about the hi-hat and a couple different ways to play the hi-hat. Different situations too. Right. Let me show you some different ways to play the hi-hat. The first one is like with straight 8th notes. I like, it's kind of more of a rounder feel, if like you're going to play like a, kind of like, I don't know, okay, let's see what am I talking about here? I'm talking about the hi-hat. Okay, we're thinking of 3 different ways to play the hi-hat, and first one I'm going to show you is this shank tip technique, and this is cool to like really get like a feel and a finesse for the hi-hat, because the hi-hat's actually a hard instrument to play. It's like the hardest thing to like start it when someone says count off a tune, and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it doesn't really work. What I'm going to show you right now is a nice finesseful way to like to play that, and that's using the shank tip technique that I call, and that's playing all the downbeats with the shank. So if you're playing eighth notes, it'd be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then playing the upbeats with the tip. And so it gives kind of like a nice finesse on the hi-hat, kind of going like this. And that's cool for like a rounder type of feel. Like if I'll just play a 2 and 4 beat and show you like a groove just playing that. Really good for breakdowns too, like kind of playing like and then coming back in. Gives a nice round feel to it. That's one way I approach the hi-hat. Another way is like more of like the the hip hop type of the street type of sound for like hip hop funk. And that's like they're using more of a stiffer type of hi-hat sound because most of it's programmed. So when I first heard that, actually I was doing a session and I went in there. This is why I want to show you these 3 different ways of playing the hi-hat because it's important, I think, to learn all of them and be able to pull them out when you need it. Because I went into this hip-hop session, and there was kind of a Tribe Called Quest type of beat. It was kind of like with eighth notes on the hi-hat, and I was kind of playing it like this. Which is cool for a certain situation, but they wanted the raw, like, you know, hip-hop sound, and they kept singing me like, we want it like really stiff. And so I went in there and I played all the shank and played all the eighth notes with the shank and made this kind of like emulated a drum machine type of sound, and they loved it. So it's like that's just playing only the shank. Kind of stiffens it up so they can kind of move around, you know, the hi-hat, because when they're rapping they need to like hear that solidness, and that's their thing, and I didn't really understand that until I like really dissected it and learned it on the hi-hat and learned how to do that. Especially like with the open hi-hats, especially in hip hop, they want that open hi-hat like really loud, you know, and at first they were saying open the hi-hat like do sa, do sa, and I was going like, and they're going, no, we want it like powerful. So it was like you really got to like dig in, and these are the subtleties of the hi-hat that make like a beat funky, you know. So I had to really like, you know, accentuate that eighth note. I had to be like, feels uncomfortable when I'm playing, but like that's the sound they wanted, you know. It's like normally I would just go in there and I play the way I play, but you know that's not going to get you the gig. You got to really like listen and find out what's happening, you know, in the sounds, especially, you know, like James Brown, like Funky Drummer. That beat, he's only using the tip of the stick. He's like, you can tell he's like right on the tip. He's not going or. Those are sort of the two I just showed you. He's right on the top and really light and really finesseful, and he's playing like. And when he's opening the hi-hat, he's opening it really lightly and with the tip of the stick. He's kind of, this is kind of a hard one to play, but it's a. You get the idea. I mean, that's sort of what the sound is. It's like those three different ways to play the hi-hat are like really important in order to make like a beat funky.